Alright, what is going on, everybody? JJ Starwind is here. And as promised, finally got to it. I'm going to talk about the recent anime that I watched on YouTube. Well, it's not recent, it's actually quite old. It was made back in the early 70s. So, shout out to this channel. Let's get the name of it right quick. Yes, Anime on TMS official channel. So, shout out to this channel, because I found several old school animes on there, and one of them I managed to watch called Karate Master, or in Japanese, Karate Baka Ichidai. And so this is it's loosely based on a real life person. It's based on Masoyama, who is the founder of Kyokushin Karate, and you even get to see a few clips of him in action breaking bottles with a upside down karate chop, so to speak. And he has some of his students do the similar techniques. They break boards, they're breaking bricks. I mean, I think there was one scene where one of his students was on nails and they used a hammer to hit the guy's belly to kind of toughen him up. So that was crazy. So yeah, but in the actual anime, the main character's name is Ken Asuka, and so he's had a really interesting life. And it's kind of weird because this is kind of one of the inconsistencies in this anime. I'm not gonna say it's a perfect anime because it was far from perfect. I just like the fact that in a lot of the episodes it tells some compelling stories and also some life lessons here. But Ken Asuka, he learned karate at a fairly young age, but he had took some time off. And so part of the reason why was because his family didn't stay in Japan the entire time. He actually spent some of his youth in Manchuria. And this is how he first got exposed to martial arts, when he was saved by this Chinese guy that was defending a restaurant against this big dude that was kind of a drunk, and he was messing with a lot of people. And so he ended up trying to attack Ken's mentor, and next thing you know, this dude just whooped on him. And then when he came to, the bully came to, he tried to attack again, he whooped it again. And this was an important episode, this one episode where Ken, he kept getting betrayed and he kept getting let down by people who were basically using him. This is like in the early part of the show. And so I think the mentor was telling him, like, hey, I'm just going to keep beating this guy up until he learns his lesson. Hard heads need to take a beating, basically. And so Ken kind of understood what his teacher was trying to tell him back then. And so when he confronted the guy that used him for a free chauffeur ride because he needed the money, because he was broke at the time, instead of beating him up, he decided to kind of, let him know, hey, don't do that again, because next time I will beat you up. And so the man couldn't believe what he did, and he kind of like, okay, I'm sorry. I'll do whatever you want, And Ken was like, don't worry about it. And he just kept moving. But yeah, so he started off growing up partially in China, and then by the time World War II started, he was a kamikaze pilot. And he was prepared to die at that point. He was a teenager, and he was getting ready to die. And what happened when he took off on the plane, this is like the very first episode, the plane had a mechanical problem. One of the tires blew out as he was about to take off, and he ended up crashing, and he survived the crash. So he never took off. He never got a chance to fulfill his mission to commit suicide. And so he ended up becoming kind of a ruffian in a way, because the war was over and Japan just got decimated by the United States, and I mean, he was getting picked on all around by local Japanese as well as foreigners, like even in America, like the Americans that were there. He was just getting picked on left and right until he had to start using karate to defend himself. And so I think by the third episode, he kind of realized that in order for him to move on, he needed to enhance his karate skills. And for a time, he worked with Yakuza gangs and all that. So he was kind of getting on the wrong side of things until he discovered this older man that kind of told him about the story of Musashi. And he kind of told him he needed to start wising up and educating himself. And so he started reading Musashi books written by Miyamoto Musashi. Forgive me if I can't remember the exact title, but he read that famous book by Musashi, and next thing you know, this kind of further enhanced his ambitions to become better in karate and to move forward in life. And so he leaves Tokyo, he leaves out of there, he ends up secluding himself in the mountains of, I guess it's Chiba Prefecture, it's a mountain called Mount Minobu, so that's where he was at. And so he spent like a year, like almost 2 years on that mountain training himself, just getting better and better. He was doing some incredible stuff. And then by the time he got ready to leave, because he was getting lonely for staying up in the mountains all that time, he decides to enter a tournament. He goes in that tournament, he destroys everybody. I mean, he wins every single fight. He even broke 17 tiles, I think, or maybe it was less than that. I think he tried to break 17, but he ended up breaking like maybe 14 of them or something like that. And I think that was around like the episode 7 or 8. And that was incredible. That was a crazy feat, because the average guy to break tiles was like around 8 or 9 tiles. He ended up breaking more than that. And then by the time he won that tournament, he ended up, 2 things happened. So he got a disciple named Shogo Ariake. He saw what that dude did and he was amazed by him. And so he wanted to study under him. At first, Ken didn't want to do it, but eventually, because of Ariake's eagerness and stubbornness, he eventually accepts him. Because the kid followed him all the way from Kyoto to Tokyo to try to learn under Ken. And there's this other character named Kato. He was like the head of the Karate Association at the time, and he was hating hard on Ken. He spread so many lies about this man. And this is what I was talking about with the whole betrayal piece. Like, he wasn't getting the respect he deserved because he was so gifted in karate. Man, he was hating on him so bad. And it was one episode to where Ariake, he eventually finds out where Master Kato's dojo is, and he goes there and he tries to challenge him, and it didn't work out, and so Ken had to go back and kind of apologize on his behalf and stuff. So Ariake was all over the place, man. The kid ended up dying, spoiler alert, he ends up getting killed. I'm not going to say how he got killed, and that deeply affected Ken's morale as a teacher. And so for a time he didn't really do it anymore, because he met this other person. There were 2 other jerks in that anime that pretty much made Ken's life miserable until he finally cut ties with them. That was Todd Wakamatsu and later Joe Brad. And these guys were they were kind of like big fighting fanatics, and they pretty much like to use guys for money to make them fight in these epic matches, these early mixed martial arts style matches. So you could say Ken Asuka was like a predecessor of an MMA fighter in a sense, because he wanted to fight every style that was out there. And so for a good chunk of the anime, that's all he did. And he first did that with another Japanese companion named what was his name again? Igarashi. Yeah, Igarashi. So him and Igarashi hit it off. Igarashi was like a top-notch judo fighter, and they traveled all over America fighting all these different guys, up until they cut ties with Todd. And for a time they befriended a Japanese wrestler who lived in America named Togo, until Igarashi decided that he wanted to stay and train with Togo to get better as a judo expert and wrestler. So eventually Ken and Igarashi went separate ways, but at least it was on good terms. And so from there, Ken started traveling to all these different countries, fighting all these different styles. He fought guys like O'Hara. That was a good episode talking about capoeira in Brazil. He fought a deadly guy named Sayoro, I think that his name is, in Indonesia. His style was Pencak Silat up in Bali. He fought the Black Cobra, Muay Thai champion in Thailand. He fought the Red Scorpion. That was before he started traveling the world. This was in America, the Red Scorpion. He was a beast. He also fought somebody in New Zealand who was like an expert boomerang thrower or something like that. I forget the guy's name. And then later he fights a guy named Beaumont, who's really strong. When he went to Paris, this is when he met Joe. And this dude was super strong. He almost beat Ken too. Like, that's how strong he was. His style was sabate, French kickboxing. He fought a few other people. It kind of escapes me. But his first loss really was against a Tai Chi master, Master Chen. And so it was from there he discovered Tai Chi. And so he started incorporating some Tai Chi elements into his karate style. And so Eventually, he goes back to Japan, opens up his school, and then the final episode where he has to fight a younger guy, and he kind of realizes that you know, his martial arts journey is not complete, so he ends up traveling again, and that's kind of like the end of the series, so to speak. But yeah, the series itself is quite lengthy. It's 47 episodes, and like I said, it's a journey. I mean, it's just a journey of a man that became whole because of martial arts, because of karate. You know, he went from being a ruffian to somebody well respected amongst the martial arts circles, both nationally and underground. You know, so he met all kinds of people. He met people that tried to use him. He met people that tried to kill him. He met people that looked up to him, but eventually either they turned his back against him or they ended up losing their life because they believed in him so much, that kind of thing. So overall, man, I definitely enjoyed the story aspect of Karate Master. Some of the things that kind of made it not so great was the animations, and some of them fights was kind of wonky. Of course, they made errors with some of the people there, because that series went out of their way to create different ethnic groups of people, because Ken was traveling all over the world and stuff like that, and you could see the errors clearly in that. So I guess it's because of budgeting reasons, and they probably had to rush these episodes and stuff. But other than that, I enjoyed it. I really did. It was something to look forward to, despite having all these other animes come out that are new. So it's kind of refreshing to see old school anime that you don't normally see or you haven't even heard of yet. So I appreciate this very much. So yeah, if you guys want to, it's on YouTube. Every episode's there. It's on the Anime on TMS official channel. I'll put the link there if you want to, get there quicker on the description box and stuff. But anyway, this is JJ Starwind. Sorry for this review going all over the place, but hey, it is what it is. And I'll see you all next time.